Kia ora i te whānau. So my name's Joe Wilson and I work with the Waikato Wellbeing project as the lead social innovator. Today I've brought together an amazing group of people. We've got a locally led, like a community led kaupapa here, which is seeing businesses, mainly from the construction and civil industry and youth sector, service providers coming together to find solutions, opportunities and better ways of recruiting and retaining young people into employment in the Waikato. So initially the Stronger Together Business Collective reached out to the youth sector and asked how they could work better with young people. They realised that many of the young people they employed were presenting challenging behaviours at work and had maybe come from backgrounds where they didn't have the support that some of us are privileged to have. So they wanted to know what the skills they could adopt were that would help them be better as employers. And that's what kick-started this whole kaupapa really in the first place. So we went away and a year later today we're presenting a lot of the research that we found. We went out and asked all the youth workers that we knew through the H-Town Youth Connect. Zita Morn, the Hamilton City Council Youth Development Advisor, hooked us up with all of the contacts that she knows. And we got so much amazing insights from youth sector workers as to how they would coach an employer to communicate and interact like how a youth worker would, so they could learn from those skills and start to embed them in. So the world of the youth sector workers and business owners and employers don't normally meet. So the whole point of this was to have that conversation between those two worlds and for both sides to understand what the vested interests of the other were was really important. So we asked the employers, why are you here? What have you got to gain from this? Really, what are the values are? So there's a lot of whanaunga tanga between the two worlds. Here are a few things that came up from that question.
And actually I'm here because I like the whole idea of getting insight, especially from the social side, from business side and vice versa. So we don't have just people going, oh, just try and employ them and make it work. Like we said, it's how can you guys help businesses get involved and how can we help to ensure that we have longevity of employment?
So I'm primarily here to help our older young people find pathways into employment and also to give voice to some of their concerns around going into work and some of the challenges and barriers that they face. Even though they really want to go to work, as you know, there's stuff that pops up and they may turn up at work, but what's going on inside them makes them very difficult to work with when they're at work. And so I'm here to kind of figure out how it is I can help, my team can help in that sense. Like, what is the relationship? What can that look like so that we can come in and help the young people actually face these things and still retain their employment?
We have a lot of young people that we like to try and bring through as well, which obviously is why we're here. And seeing some of the backgrounds, this kind of facilitation will help me and what we do with how we can help these people come through.
Same as what Adam said, it's always good if we can help the youth to come into the workforce and almost to challenge them to grow as people.
I own Vision Complete Pathways, where I get people into employment. It's not predominantly youth, but I end up, most of my placements have been youth. And because of that, I reached out to a few different organisations in the community to understand it better. And met some wonderful people along the way.
The employers that I had to previously deal with weren't often the ones who wanted to have these conversations. A few of them definitely did, and that was awesome, but few and far between. So really, really cool to see this group of people here today, and excited to hear all the kōrero, no doubt, that's about to go down.
I've got a manufacturing business in Hamilton. I do use a few labourers. Talita did place one of my guys for me and very pleased with the results. So yeah, it's really how we support and interact with the youth and how we can help them. But like Pisa said as well, how you guys can help us. Because I think it's a two-way street and we all need to look at both avenues.
I mean, this kaupapa is amazing. There's not a lot of opportunities to really get both sides of the partnership together and have a conversation, share perspectives, try and form a collective mindset around it.
So we're already involved in the social space significantly. And over the last few years, we've been wanting to become more involved in terms of employment with youth. We've worked with Talita with a few recommendations that she's had, and we already employ separately to that other youth that somewhat need guidance and so on, and we're happy to do that.
I run a pre-employment program called Whakamana. I think I sit in the space where I work for a recruitment agency and this has been developed out of a need expressed from our employers, but also an expression of rangatahi and not feeling more prepared for life in the workforce.
I'm really keen to explore how the crossover, not just the matching up, but I know we are paid to, once we've put people into work, we're paid to look after them for 2 years after that, and even that little bit of knowledge, that how can we support them in your work? We have people calling up, hey, ever since, like, this guy was awesome when we're doing work experience, now that we're paying him, he's like on the piss and driving around and not, how can we and so we can step in there and try and give support there.
I work at Hamilton City Council as the youth advisor there. This is some mahi that is just so cool to be a part of. A lot of the things that I do, much like Joe, is gaps analysis and seeing where we can be strategic in the way that we run and what can we do to make sure that our youth are ready to come and work for you.
Hey, how cool would it be if we didn't have to exist? Because our youth had the trust and the faith and that they could go to their employers. But as mentioned, not everyone is on that line right now and able to give that support. So yeah.
So what's really important for our businesses to understand is the background that a lot of the rangatahi that they're employing come from. Many of them come from an environment which is not supportive. There's a lot of challenges that maybe the business owners themselves haven't lived and gone through. So for them to understand the bigger picture behind the young person they're employing, it's really important for the youth sector to give some insights as to the things they see and work with on the daily to help provide that perspective that could maybe help inform the processes and, I guess, perspectives of the employers. So this is what the youth sector had to say about some of the youth that they work with.
A lot of us sitting here probably had a supportive family environment which we were able to see, and they role modelled, good work ethic. Even if you're with a solo parent, mum probably went out and did this and did that. So you're exposed to what was kind of a norm, whereas some of our young people, they don't have that. They don't have someone that they go home and maybe the environment's not the best. They've come from a really hard place and all they needed was a chance. I would guarantee everyone in this room has had someone who they can remember back when they were young who was an influential person at that point in their life. So you all have the opportunity to be that influential person in a young person's life to get them through to that next stage.
Like the young men that I've been working with who needed employment because they were expecting a child. And so right up until mum had baby, great, was at work, was doing things, but when it rains, it pours. Baby's here. Mum's had 2 weeks of no sleep. She's pissed. She's, in the state, and he's like, oh shit, I need a support, but I need. Then the car breaks. Then they don't have money to fix the car. And then he's like trying to find a car to get to work. He turns up to work 2 hours late. You're fired, mate. You weren't on time. Then I get the phone call going, oh, T, I've just been fired. If it wasn't for that catalyst, great workers. But and really have that motivation to want to work because they really want to create a different life for their family. But when it rains, it pours, and when they don't have a supportive employer who's just like, I don't even care what happened, you weren't here on time, you missed the ride out to Tauranga, you're out. Don't bother coming back tomorrow. And that's why we do what we do, so that when these kids fall apart, because they're trying to be adults, we can just, it's okay.
So we work with rangatahi between the ages of 18 to 24 who are not in training, education or employment, and they probably haven't been engaged in anything since they were 12 or 13 and need a lot of help with the life skills side. So what we do is we help them identify their strengths, sit down, write CVs, help them express those strengths and who they are in the form of a CV, create a career path that's aligned with those strengths, but also come alongside them in terms of providing a bit of life education.
And we run a program called, as I say, Taku Wairua, where we target 16, 17-year-olds who aren't in work training, who have typically had really challenging lives and haven't been in school since about the age of 12 or 13. 70% of our behaviour is dictated by our environment. And I think when it comes to a home environment and year upon year upon year development of pretty shitty environments, excuse my language for the camera, but that culminates in some of the people that we're trying to support to create strong communities. Because if we don't do that together, we end up seeing the outcomes on TV and in statistics.
So regardless of whoever is employed in a business, there's challenges that businesses face when the employees aren't able to do the jobs they're asked to do for whatever reason. So this is an opportunity now for businesses to explain to the youth sector about what those challenges are and how that can manifest in the workplace, and I guess where their pain points are. That could be a bit uncomfortable for the youth sector to hear, but at the same time, it's real, and this is about finding common ground and ways to move forward. So here are a few things that the businesses presented to as challenges as they see it. Let's listen to what they have to say.
An example is it just cost us $25,000 to have a restructure process or a dismissal process for an employee that was turning up half the time and expecting the full money. So the cost to employers is huge, right? That's just the cost to help the employee move on to the next place, right? Drugs problem, alcohol problem, doesn't turn up on time, didn't turn up after 3-4 months of continuously trying, and that comes back to this drug and alcohol and everything else in the background. But the biggest cost to us employers, and it's been touched on, is actually the training we give them. Right? So you're having to buddy them up or pair them up with a manager who's probably on at least twice the salary of the particular employee you've got. And you add that over 3 months, you add that, 4 or 5 hours a week, whatever it is, the check-ins and so on. So yes, there's some form of compensation or subsidy in terms of their salary for 3 months or whatever. But the real subsidy really needs to, the real chance for employers, and this is a legislative issue, so we can't solve it here today, is there has to be some form of temporary way that we can guide them in, because once we're hooked in, we're spending $25,000 to move them on, which we don't want to do. We don't want to spend 3-5 months training them and be like, hey, we now can't get rid of this employee.
It is a costly exercise. I mean, you get these kids and you have to train them up. You need to give them room to make mistakes, and those mistakes cost somebody. But they learn from those mistakes. That's what I found. And you have to treat them like family. So it is okay to make mistakes, because that is very, very good learning school. But you're 100% right. In the end of the day, it is costing money for them to make those mistakes. It's not going to probably pay off right now, but in the future, that will pay off. So it is really investing into the future and into those kids. And I'm 100% for it. There's a lot of businesses out there that don't always realize, how important it is to invest in that future and the potential.
Example, this is a young gentleman that I employed that got caught for selling drugs, and he put 4 kids in the hospital. And so those kids almost died. The police had to go to his mum and dad's house. And luckily I knew his dad, and I went and we employed this kid, and it's taken 8-9 months. 9 months to get him to a place where he's got work ethic and keep on going and pitch up every morning. And from a race perspective, we found that's a big problem. All of them think they want more money, but they don't know how to ask for it. And then what they'd rather do is they stop coming to work because they feel they're not valued. So what we've done is we put this thing in place saying, we'll give you $1 an hour bonus if you pitch up every day for 2 weeks. On time. Just Monday to Friday. All you got to do is pitch up on time, work till the end, go home. If you do it for 2 weeks, we'll give you $1 bonus on the hours you worked. And if you if you get your bonus 4 times in a row, that becomes your raise. And then you'll get another bonus. Yeah? None of them have made 4 times in a row yet, but they still get their bonus every now and then. And so they're creeping up there. One has made 1 and then 2, and then for help, then 1, 2, 3, and hopefully one is going to make the 4, and they're going to put them in. One is going to be the leader of the pack there. But it's important to understand, and that's what Talita does really well, and not just because my wife, she actually does it really well. She phones them. So every time I go around, man, this guy didn't pitch up to work, I'm just getting ticked. She phones them up. Why aren't you at work? What's happening? And then she reports back to me or to Christian going, hey, he had a bad rough night. His mum died 5 years ago and he went drinking. And then we can understand what's going on. But most of these kids stay away. And the first thing I think, we've got to pay, he got on the piss. That's why it's not at work. But maybe he went through some things that's happening that we don't understand. And that's where you guys come in, relaying it to business, to help us understand.
Yeah, do we look after the 49 families that turn up to work and they're good and we've got support, or do we focus on the one? That one will cause attention of the bosses, the HR, the health and safety and all that. Next thing you'll focus on this one person, the other 49 people, the business can fall off the rails, and for that one person as a business, do you make that sacrifice? Yes.
And you do make that sacrifice.
Yeah, the heart's saying, yes, we do. Yeah.
He does.
We had a really good set of 3 brothers that no longer work for us. Their parents came out of prison and dragged them back into their previous life. A lot of times I spent picking them up under my own risk of people walking around with bats and shit just so that they could get to work. But not having or not knowing and recognising the additional support networks through these times that I've had with these other workers, that's like sort of what I want out of this kind of relationship, knowing who else I can bounce off.
What support?
Because like I said, the job's really hard. We roll through people pretty quickly because they realise it's not for them.
So having heard different perspectives from both the businesses and the youth sector, what was really cool was how organically solutions came out between both groups. So inspiring, so exciting, because it was off the cuff and people just spoke honestly about how they could contribute. It was really positive because people wanted to be a part of the solution, so they just offered their help in the way they could through the organisation or the sector they're with. So here's some of the solutions that came out of the corridor and give hope to some positive things going forward.
There's opportunity, and we all know, I guess no one would be here if you didn't think that. To give an example, we're doing a youth housing project. We're going to have 12 rangatahi in our space that are all unemployed. But the benefit of that is, for you as an employer, is that you know they've got wraparound services when they come home every day. But what they need an opportunity in employment.
I heard partnership. And so one of the great things about Kirikiriroa Family Services Trust is that you're right, we've got whole families who may be unemployed. But the other side of that with our youth services is that if you've got a young person under the age of 25 that's struggling and has no supports, that's who we are. So in terms of that partnership, that's when you call us up and go, hey, there's this young person and, is there any...
Struggling to come in the mornings,
yeah.
talk to him, can you see if he's okay?
And then we create that relationship with them. So like our staff end up being that person that they can go to when they're struggling. And when they're thinking like, oh, I'm not valued there, they have the conversation with our people, and then we build them up to be able to have those conversations with you.
The culture shift in our company has been drastic. Like I said, it used to just be you miss a day, you get fired. I will bend over backwards. I will bang on with someone forever until they literally just don't show up again, and you can't go much further than that. But yeah, I'm but one person, and yeah, knowing that the ages don't sort of tap out, that you're 18 and the youth is, tapped out at that point, because there is a lot of people that I could have, dragged in some additional support to help because I'm not an expert in that space.
Actually, the most powerful thing is to celebrate any sort of behavior that you're trying to cultivate. It actually doesn't take that long. Like if they show up on time once or twice in that week and you celebrate the crap out of it and make them feel really good, it's locked in. And they will feel bad if they don't, if they show up late. So more important than like 21 days, consistency is actually like really immediately celebrating the mahi. Yeah.
It's very important, like you said, placing them with a role model. So us at VC, we're a family business, and we like to think that the people who work for us are part of that family. So whenever the guys get up in the morning, they actually want to come to work. They want to come and interact. It's about also when you see them on site. A lot of the times I like to turn up and say, hey, how's your day going? How did you go? I heard you had a bit of a go on the machine. And you can see that they get excited about it. And it's about just saying, look, you did a really good job this week. I can see that you've grown from the last time we spoke, and I'm proud of you. That's all that it's about. You can see the kids kind of light up a little bit when you give them that positive reinforcement. So I get a kick out of that. I get a bit of a kick out of it. So
We are now the collective. It's not businesses sitting on this side and one in the social sector and all the businesses sitting on that side. It's us as a collective moving in the right direction to achieve the goal for these youth and at the same time achieving the goal for the business.
So following the big group conversation and all the amazing things that came out of it, we took a few of the business owners and the youth sector workers aside and did some one-to-one reflections. And yeah, they shared what they thought their learnings were and what they will take away from this. So really cool to hear what they said.
I think highlight for me probably was just the moment when one of the employers said, you know, what would it possibly look like to have youth services working amongst the employers and actually have an opportunity for them to be welcomed into the business space.
And what I learned from tonight is that there's a gap in the understanding between employers and employees of how they fit in with us and how we fit in with them. There's a lack of understanding of how employers need to treat their employees on a deeper level, and that we just need to be educated on that fact, is how to deal with someone that turns up late. There might be a reason, either just they're late or lazy, or there's issues, deeper issues happening at home. So just building that relationship, and once that relationship is built, you'll get more consistency, and that's what we want in the end.
It's actually exciting to think that we can help the youth to grow personally and into the workforce and create opportunity for them. They're our future.
Tonight has been extremely beneficial for me and the company that I work for, learning about all the additional services that can be provided to businesses in supporting the youth of today and of our future. These conversations that we're having are going to be great for my staff and all of the youth that we are looking to hire. I'll be taking away quite a few insights to how the youth think and how they actually need the support and integration with other people from around the community.
Yeah, it's really cool. I feel like I'm leaving with, okay, there is hope for rangatahi on both ends. Like, we're doing our job to prepare them, but then there's also people out there that are reaching down and are prepared to do the work to get them there and pick up where we can't, like, you know, carry on.
Our understanding your industry actually is of the need of businesses. I'm not saying that a lot of them don't know exactly what we need, but the understanding when we're talking about the 3-month trial period was taken away and how much harder it makes for youth to be employed because of it. And that's strange because normally we have a feeling like everybody wants to push it on us. And it was nice to know that your sector understands our hardship through that as well. And we're going to work together to change that. So that's amazing. That was
I'd agree with that. I'd just say, like, you can just see that there's a really huge need for us to be able to work better together.
Yes.
We have an opportunity to really transform the lives of young people because you provide a space for them to get those essential skills, you know, life, work skills, work habits, that they can actually make, you know, financial opportunities for themselves. They have a earn.
Yes.
When they have a earn, they can provide for themselves. Then they have a family and they can provide for their family.
Get a bit of mana.
Yeah, that mana enhancing stuff. And then we have an opportunity to support and add to what you're doing in the workplace by making sure that those other issues, their mental health, something that happened last night is taken care of. But it's just, if we can connect better together, I think that we can really support young people along their journey so that they get, when you think of in Māori terms, they get as mana motu hake is achieved.
Yes.
They've got everything they need.
So I think it's a partnership. So because they're so willing to really put their money on the line, because that's what they're doing, what we can do to support them, support rangatahi, whether they're working with us as Kirikiriroa Family Services Trust, or whether they're just a rangatahi in Kirikiriroa who have limited to no supports. The way that we're going to support this kaupapa is by offering our services. So when they've got a young person who is struggling and they don't have the time to try and unpack that and help them, they give us a call. And we work with that young person. And we do the background work to try and make sure that they can continue working their job. Yeah.
Sick.
Yes, sick as, right?
So after all that, all the conversations that were had, perspectives shared, it's really clear to me that there is such a willingness from this collective of ethically minded businesses to really build a working relationship with the youth sector service providers that were in the room, in the Waikato. Both sides have made it really clear that there's a higher calling here, and that is that rangatahi that come into these work opportunities get the best support they can possibly get to make changes for themselves and their whānau. That's why everyone wants to be a part of this. What I'm really interested in now is exploring opportunities that will help businesses mitigate the risk of taking young people on. And maybe, and from what we've heard, the two initial solutions might be that workshops are developed to help train businesses on being strength-based, using positive youth development practices within their staff and organisation. And the other one is that they build a relationship, like an open door relationship with youth service providers, so they can come in and support employees when they're struggling, and vice versa. So they'll be the two sort of main areas that we could build on. And I guess now it's going to be a question of how do we go from here to being able to actuate those things. And that's what's really exciting. So watch this space, we'll see where we get to next. And I'm just stoked that there's such a good energy from all the people involved that this could become the norm. Businesses would all become positive youth development centres that look after young people once they leave school or education, so that we've got a better functioning society. Simple as.